understand. Yeah, but it's kind of doing The Shining stuff. It's a guy in a hotel with writer's block, kind of losing his shit. The decor of the place is kind of this fallen. I mean, it takes place in, I guess, 1941, right? So this is not
Yes.
it's not like dilapidated by the march of time at this place, and yet it is. It seems like it's been falling apart for 40 years. Like it's what this place would look like if it didn't change, and you walked into it in 1975 or whatever. There's just seems empty. Aside from like the shoes in the hallway, you never see anyone else there other than Goodman and Chet, the doorman, or
Yeah.
or everyone. He basically does every job at the hotel. It appears. Steve Buscemi, who we meet like emerging from the earth.
There's the decrepit elevator
Oh,
man.
of course.
So there's two
Yeah.
murders here.
hmm That guy's
Uh,
sort of like I saw something referring to him as the ferryman of the dead, and I was like, that's pretty good actually.
I mean, the main thing is that the hotel is large, and based on the amount of shoes that are being put out for the complimentary shoe shine, quite inhabited, and yet we never see anybody but any other residents beside Barton and Goodman. And the shoe imagery, actually, of the empty shoes out there, recalls like Holocaust memorials that I've seen,
Jesus. Yeah.
which
Okay. hmm
I think that there is certainly that. I mean, I guess if I was trying to just to win the podcast by coming up with the most coherent explanation for this, it is that the Holocaust is a big subterranean through line through all this. That the time frame that this is set in is very deliberate, and a lot of all this is about the feeling of ineffectuality that they have as Jewish writers specifically, and that all of this like angst about doing their best work and how hard it is to make something that's even passable. Uh, it's all kind of like especially futile because even if you create a masterpiece, it still does nothing to stop the Holocaust.
I mean, for something that is not like literally mentioned or implied at any point in the film, that does carry water.
Well,
it
not to
makes
jump
sense.
right to the end, but you know, Goodman says "Heil Hitler" as he shoots the last cop, and as the hotel is bursting into a literal Holocaust
Sure does.
around him.
Yeah, fair enough. A wild moment, no doubt.
Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, we're 1941. America's not even in the war. Um,
Well, that's actually the I believe some of the stuff I saw pointed out that if you're watching the dailies of the wrestling picture that Barton's watching, it's the date is the date of Pearl Harbor, and by the end,
what the fuck?
he's dressed up as a colonel.
hmm Of
That
course.
that Lipnick had wardrobe make him up a military uniform because he hasn't officially been inducted into the Army Reserve yet. Uh, so it's in there. Um, it's maybe even a little more in the script. I found something that purports to be the script anyway online, and had read that it makes like the script makes greater note that the wrestler in those dailies is especially Germanic, and keeps shouting, "I will destroy him! I will destroy you! I will destroy him!" at the Jewish writer, basically.
I mean
And that's what's
that guy is so specific that it's hard to get much of a fascist vibe from him because he looks more like a troll than a fascist. Like a
right. Running down the hall while it's burning and yelling, "I'll show you the life of the mind." He's also shouting "Heil Hitler," uh,
Jesus.
which changes things. It's hard in the way the movie actually presents. It's he says it almost sarcastically as he's putting the gun to the cop's head,
Yeah.
and you don't kind of know what to make of that. Like, oh, is this somehow because also the cops are distinctively German and Italian surnames attached to them, so they're representing the fascist powers in some fashion. And is the common man actually protecting Barton from the fascist powers there? And he's and they're also explicitly anti-Semitic, I suppose. The police.
Sure.
So is he a golem that is doing dangerous but also protecting him, or is he the rising tide of fascism, and is all of Barton's sort of valorization of the common man and the nobility of his plight also doubly dangerous because the common man is also the people who are going to be running the gas chambers and the trains that take all the Jews to Auschwitz.
See, now all of this holds water. Like I think all of this is I mean it's all kind of thrown into the hopper, and it's all kind of stuff that we can sort of parse and poke at and discern meaning from. But I think it's very clear there isn't a set meaning here, because so much of this is contradictory. It's sort of what you bring to it, and that is frustrating. It can be. It's hard for me to unlock this movie in a way because of those contradictions. That's a great example of them. And I mean, I love that there's so much to go through and to think about and to deal with, but it's very hard for me to cohesively explain it. You know, I
You know what the best of those I was talking about earlier, the unarticulated jokes of this that also makes Barton just the fucking worst. That I did mention is after so at the end he's like finally having a spurt of creativity, productivity. Definitely not creativity, but productivity. As he's rewriting his fishmonger script into one that ends with "We're going to hear from that crazy wrestler," and I don't need a postcard. But so he has this bout of productivity, and also that then the detectives interrupt him to tell him that John Goodman is a serial murderer that loves to decapitate people, and he has also given John Goodman his parents' address in New York as he's about to go there to visit them.
Mm-hmm.
And so then we cut to like him frantically on the phone calling New York. And you think he's like, for a second, you're like, well, he's trying to check on his parents to see if they've been decapitated. And it turns out, no, he's waking up his agent in the middle of the night to boast about the great work he's been doing writing this Wallace Beery wrestling picture. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is such a great gag, and makes it like that's the
Right.
thing that even it's part of it makes him so unlikable that even when this becomes a serial killer thriller of sorts, or a horror movie at the end, like I'm never concerned about what happens to Barton Fink. I don't care if he gets his head cut off.
No, I do not. I don't care if he burns to death chained to that bed, which
Exactly.
makes it kind of odd that I'm just like, I'm a little surprised that that Charlie Meadows saved him there. Uh,
No.
I kind of don't know what to think about that.
Well, maybe this goes into that is something that it's a little dramatically unsatisfying, but it goes into the thematic reading that I have anyway of him being a helpless spectator to the actual climax of the drama there, and the Holocaust playing out in the hallway, that he's and the clash of civilizations or whatever there. He's just sort of an ineffectual spectator to it, and that plays into what I think the way this movie works the best for me is as this nesting doll of anxieties that they have about the act of writing.
Yeah, anxiety, I guess, would be a good key word for this, for sure.
Yeah, and it captures really good at capturing the horror of not being able to write anything, and having that then give way to the dread that even when you do write something, you're just repeating yourself, and it's going to be crap or warmed over crap, which then gives way to the even greater dread that even if you write something genuinely good, you're still just doodling on the walls as the Holocaust catches fire and burns the whole house down around you.
Okay, yeah.
That's the best I got.
Okay, it's a tough one for me. Yeah, he's a spectator of history. It's sorry, it's no
A tourist with a typewriter.
I like that. It's good. It's
in the parlance of our times.
In the parlance of our times. Is it?